Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter Americas. We're moving into our second match here as we go into a Protoss versus Terran. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Zombie Grub here at the desk. And that last match, I think not a massive surprise for a lot of people out there, but still, getting to see Neeb in good form, always good to see.
Yeah, I mean, we got confirmation that he's probably going to top his group, where we, last group we thought Showtime was, and then we quickly got the confirmation that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Had some struggles there, eventually made it through.
It's a bit tough because I know, of course, there was a lot of hope there for M. Canning. At Cheesadelphia in the round of 8, he was able to defeat Neeb in a best-of-5. It was 3-2. There were a lot of macro games and everything. So I know I had a lot of hope there, but at the same time, I know that M. Canning's one of those guys who he will perform a lot better. He lives to kind of surprise and upset people a lot of the time. And I feel like just because of that victory, he also in his own mind had built himself up a little bit as like, oh, I can do this again. And then he puts the pressure on himself as opposed to before where there was no pressure. No one was expecting M. Canning to beat Neeb at Cheesadelphia.
That's certainly possible. He did talk about being, I think when his celebratory tweet, he said he was like nervous.
Yeah.
And, he did make it through the round of 32. It is possible to make it out here, but not only is he up against Neeb, who we all agree is like the best American player, if not at times best North American player, right? He's also up against the likes of puCK and Epic. I have some things to talk about with Epic, but puCK is just a generally good Protoss as well that M. Canning might struggle against.
He definitely has, and actually the person who knocked M. Canning out of Cheesadelphia after he beat Neeb was puCK, and I will admit it was very one-sided series. Now, granted, both of these guys stream a lot. They stream a metric ton, M. Canning especially, and they actually go pretty 50-50 on the ladder when they're playing, and most of their games are played while they're streaming. puCK has been taking a bit of a break while he's been streaming. He only did one stream, I think, recently on maybe a couple of days ago, but he completely cut off his stream while he was preparing for the round of 32 groups, and just kind of I guess, threw out one single stream this week.
Just for his fans.
Just for his fans. Just to keep this channel active.
Yeah.
But I do think that this match is going to be kind of interesting because, again, puCK versus Epic. Epic is, for those who are, I mentioned this before we went to the break for Americas, Epic is actually not feeling super well. He got super sick yesterday. He has, I think the symptoms he was listing off to me were like heartburn, esophagitis or something like that. I didn't even know what some of this stuff was.
You should have said he was sick.
He was sick, but he's really not feeling well, and it's really unfortunate because I know he was preparing hard for today's groups. He was super ready moving into TVP. M. Canning was talking to me about how Epic's TVP especially is probably really, really one of the scary ones. He was actually more afraid of Epic than he was puCK, in fact. So it's really unfortunate. I'm hoping that he's still going to be able to play some good games, and that Epic will actually be here. He is actually in the chat channel and stuff.
Yeah, he's doing vetoes. Yeah. He's been doing vetoes. So yeah, that's sucky. There's really not getting around the idea that you're going to be constantly just, especially with anything to do with like your throat being sore. That's like the thing that like you literally have to actually breathe and like swallow and drink water, guys, to live. So it's a constant annoyance. I used to get strep throat all the time when I was a kid. All the time. It was terrible. But I gotta imagine when you practice TVP nowadays, you are just really fine-tuning like those 2 base attacks to get the most damage possible. I don't know if he's practicing proxies, but that's what I would imagine. And what the nice thing is about PVT nowadays is that it does feel that, disregarding any like early like gateway pushes, something like that, the Terran does get like till minute 7 to kind of do what they want to do. And they do that push. And then we go into the whole Blink Stalker stuff that we saw like yesterday, for instance.
Which puCK really loves, by the way.
He does.
He's a huge fan of getting aggressive with those Blink Stalkers.
But if Epic was just practicing those 2 base pushes and he just can still do them because it's just like a mechanical thing, I can't think about it very much, then I still actually have hope for him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of hope. I know Protoss is, when they do face those crisp cut, really well-timed attacks, they're just like, I think I'm prepared and I'm not.
Yeah, it's a bit dicey because I do think of puCK as, when I think of the things that puCK is strongest at, micro is one of the first things, if not the first thing on that list. Yeah. And a lot of those attacks that you're talking about, that finesse, doesn't just come from, figuring out the right build order and all that stuff. It comes from the micro. It comes from the positioning. puCK is so on top of it usually that I think it's going to be very difficult to just rely on that. So we'll see what Epic is going to be able to bust out here. Looks like the game lobby is getting ready. We're moving on to Automaton for first map. Do you have any thoughts about that one?
It's got, you know, from base to base, it's rather nice, but I'm thinking about that large main base with all the blink stalker opportunities, and that's where I'm getting a little scared. If Epic plays a nice, stable, defensive game, get that bunker, maybe get a Raven, a scout for those observers, and can do his thing, then he'll be fine. But if puCK gets any sort of momentum going, takes control over the game, that's when I think being sick plus Terran things, I guess, like it's going to be hard.
All right, we're moving into game number 1 of puCK versus Epic, our first Protoss versus Terran of the day. As we start up here at the top right-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Protoss player. He is Root Gaming's puCK.
The bottom left, as the red Terran for Storm Gaming, he is Epic.
Epic, of course, also getting a pretty solid finish at that same event we were talking about before. Mcanny got a good finish. Cheesadelphia. Very, very talented player, in my opinion. I think that it's a lot of the raw talent, and I think the thing that really held him back for a long time was that he wasn't playing as much StarCraft. But that's just not a problem anymore. Epic plays an absolute ton of StarCraft. He's been on the up and up again. And I remember even last year during Challenger was taking Neeb to the distance in Challenger. Doing a really, really great job. We'll see if he can make something happen here against puCK.
Neeb's such a great, like, test, I guess.
Measuring stick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Measuring stick of the North American scene specifically. Like, just like if you can actually get close to beating them, you're like, I'm on the right path. Yay.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because you say that. I'm also thinking about how people, oh God, who was it? Kalaris or something called Jon Snow the gatekeeper of North America or something.
I do remember that, yeah.
And I was like, you know, it's kind of mean, but Jon Snow used to sort of be also a good measuring stick of like, okay, does this player have talent just because Jon Snow was so consistent? But you're right, Neeb is sort of the other guy that you have to be able to beat him in order to break into the upper echelon of players, kind of get that respect. Epic has definitely been able to do that. puCK has definitely been able to do that as well. Both these players, pretty top-notch North Americans.
We had Epic with an SCV scout. I'm glad to see it. I seriously, like, I would be happy, very happy, if Epic plays the defensive game, the SCV scout, the bunker fairly quickly to make sure you don't get any, you know, silly snowball effects that sometimes happen, and then just building up his perfect macro build that you can basically get away with for a few minutes. puCK is sending a probe very far north. It's a little suspicious.
Yeah. We'll see if this is actually going to do anything, because he does have a Twilight Council on the way, which is all well and normal. Just because Blink Stalkers are so common in the meta for PvT right now, it does make me sometimes wonder, like, you know what? Is there some value in maybe faking a Blink Stalker thing, but then actually going for really fast DTs and like that charge lot DT attack, especially with so many Terran players going for siege tank all-ins, and we do see a pylon starting up. It's going to finish up right around the time that Twilight Council finishes.
Yeah, there can be something nice with the DTs against any type of 2-base push from a Terran. Like, if you time it out really perfectly, they can hit as soon as they move out, and then they have to take so much time to clean it up, or it can actually be used to force scans and stops and starts.
There it is.
So that might be what puCK is planning on. Epic goes for a follow-up Hellion, but it is just seemingly a scouting Hellion. He does not build a bunker, but in this game it's not going to end up hurting him. There's not a lot of aggression coming out from Stalkers, as puCK is more towards the eventual Dark Shrine. That's where his focus is on.
Tekla goes to the starport, so we are likely going to be seeing Banshees, but no, it's going to be the Raven instead, and I do actually like this. Has been pretty useful a lot of the time for Terran players. The funny thing is that if this goes into not just, you know, a light little bit of blink pressure with like a War Prison or something, if this goes into the charge lot blink DT pressure or the all-in, I actually really don't like Ravens in that situation, because it takes away from your unit count, the big investment in the Raven, and I've seen a lot of Terran players actually just straight up die because they're kind of a little spread too thin right when the attack comes in. But if it's just a regular DT run by, then the Raven's great.
Which, I guess that's what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, he's
getting Blink coming out, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, and it's not like it's timing out perfectly for a push. So it is going to be more into the macro sense and hoping to get the DTs to to do any sort of damage. It's not really going to happen, even with a Warp Prism available. As soon as he realizes it is DTs, he might just go ahead and get one missile turret, one place, and then hope the Raven defends everything else. He's both defending against, he's majority defending against Blink Stalker attacks, but he's also, without knowing it, defending against the Dark Shrine. Although here comes the first warp in, it's in the natural, where Epic is not. It's going to go to the main, where Epic is, though.
Yep. He's trying to time this out so both DTs hit at the exact same moment. So the first DT gets cleaned up in an instant. The second DT doesn't even get into the mineral line, forces a pull of the workers for a moment, but backs up. Is going to be able to save that. And behind this, puCK just throws down a robotics bay. And is going to finish up Blink so he can continue to do that pressure you were talking about earlier on Automaton.
And I love this reaction from Epic. Just the one missile turret is really, I think, what he needs. He should be wary of a Warp Prism, you know, going into the main, but that's the Raven can help out there. One location covered by another. So it's not going to be any tank push, and Epic is going into bio, CM combat shields, nothing premature hitting puCK here, so puCK will have that time to recover from what is actually not a very good opener. Just being completely denied there, but Disruptors. Okay.
This is a bit of a throwback here. puCK, similar to MKing, actually made a bit of a name for himself off of Disruptors. Back in the day when Disruptors originally came out, he loved going for these Disruptors, almost regardless of what his opponent was doing. So it's kind of cool to see him returning back to it. But it is a little bit more rare to see as a fast Disruptor play coming out in PvT these days.
I thought I missed the Disruptor already. I was like, what the heck's an Warp Prism? But he
no, it's an Archon.
Yeah, he morphed the DTs into an Archon. If you do that, second Archon even coming in here, then you can have a potential bust in the natural. I don't know if this is actually properly timed, though.
Weird timing here. The Disruptor is not going to be with the army just yet, unless it's just rallying on in.
Oh,
Stalker's about to blink into the main base, and the Archons can be dropped from the Warp Prism. This actually is a really sick timing. He's going to maybe be able to try and go after combat shields. Doesn't quite get it, but look at the Archons dismantling those SCVs.
All right, that makes more sense. And Epic now, severe mistiming, does not want to go back up into his main base to defend against this. He's just going to go for the attack. Is puCK going to be defending against this?
And just all of those workers are gone. And guess what? There's still going to probably be a recall available to return back with all of these Stalkers and with the Archon and the Warp Prism.
Yeah, he had to stim just to get across the map as soon as possible. Raven's going to be a very important tool here, so he can't just be, you know, in a rush. He really has to actually take time in micro. Surprisingly good Widowmine shot.
Yeah, but there are so many Stalkers here, and this is actually not even all of the units being recalled. There's still a few units still left around that are just denying any production that pops out. The Disruptors here, anti-armor missile goes off, and I guess the Cybernetics core was sniped off, so it's going to prevent any additional Stalker warp-ins for a bit.
I missed the opportunity to get that. That would have been nice. I'm not sure the anti-armor missile was actually the right call. Not that it was made any difference if it was anything else.
I think it's tough regardless. He's just sort of outnumbered at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I thought he was going to do, and he ends up having enough energy just barely, but it didn't really matter.
Bada boom.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. Epic caught in a very difficult timing there. Like, if he was at home, that is an easy just run up into the main, deal with that, then push. But he was like out here, and it's just like, if I did come back, then it'd just be, there still would have been damage done. He still would have lost SCVs, still would have potentially lost that combat shields.
Yeah.
puCK really catching him in a bind. Not going to follow up and finish it off.
Yeah, I really like this kind of pushing from puCK. Because like you said, it still could have, or would have done some damage, but definitely would have done a lot less if Epic had been here. Just the Archons add in this nice little dynamic where it's not as simple as, well, all the bio's stimming forward and you have to really respect it. So the Archons can actually handle a lot of that. The SCVs can't really be pulled against this army. Now we're going to see puCK run on forward. Epic just does not have enough of an army. The missile turret pushes back the Warp Prism, but puCK is still going to micro his way forward and loses the Warp Prism.
That's kind of a big deal. Wow. Doesn't have any Archons. The Zealot's taken out by the Widowmines. Blink Stalker's in the main just to buy time, really. I mean, it's a good move because he should be able to get out too, but...
Sniping off the reactor, maybe. Doesn't want to risk it. Leaves the Stalkers actually in the main. Epic not fully committing to the defense there.
Oh, what? Oh. Okay, taking advantage of the missplit from Epic. You can't blame Epic. I thought the Stalkers were going to go down as well, but here they go. Starting to lose out on those shields, then the bio really starts to look quite good, especially because the bio has +1. There was a very late forge in this game, and the Stalkers are mostly dismantled.
Yeah, I do like that puCK was focus firing down so many of not only the Marauders, but also the medevacs. There's only one left over. So you think about, okay, Epic, still down a lot in economy. What is he going to do? Well, you got to put on some counter pressure, right? Can't really if you just have one medevac. That's all you got.
And it's not like Epic has a lot of production. He's trying to go into a third CC, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, he even lost his reactor. He's busy making that instead of more medevacs.
Yeah.
He had to rebuild his tech lab for the barracks to get up more marauders.
This is going to be a slow limp.
So decline,
Like,
yeah.
He's just going to be limping along here, and puCK's eventually going to put him out of his misery, probably. Like, scan reveals a fully saturated third base. I don't think he knows about the Colossus yet, but that is just one step removed from disruptors, right? So he's going to probably be scared of it.
Yep. 2 Colossus already out, and the Stalkers are making their way across the map. puCK is just not going to give Epic the breathing room to try and make this game go back in his favor. As a single Marine is going to move forward, and it looks like it probably will scout out that third base. Third base about to finish up here for Epic, but he's still playing catch-up on the worker count.
If you're not going to just pull the SCVs and all in after that type of thing, then you are hoping that the Protoss player is a little shy about pushing, so you get up to a nice Liberator count. This is nice. He grabs the Disruptor, but there's just...
Look at that Blink Stalker micro.
Too many Colossus.
Yeah.
Well, there's literally 2, and that's too many.
This is quite accurate, and the third Colossus should have popped out by now and it's probably making its way across the map. Epic just lost most of his army. The Widow Mines not going to be able to get massive hits off as the Blink Stalkers get out of there. Another medevac sniped off. No healing for you. puCK is charging his way forward for game number 1.
This is a sneaky little attack there. Not just using Blink Stalkers to get to the main base, but also bringing the Archons so that even if Epic were to respond, it still would have been a decent fight.
Yeah, I wish that I could rewind and look to see if puCK had some glimmer or vision or something of Epic doing that move out. If he saw with something that move out was happening at that exact time, because it was so perfectly timed.
Well, he actually might just known the timing.
Yeah.
Like, that was the Stim Combat Shields +1 finishing timing that we see. If you're doing the build correctly, this is actually very, very clutch. So
Yeah.
he might have just known.
That's fair.
And that's fair. And he is the type of player that would know that and then design something to specifically combat it, right? In this case, it was totally avoiding it and killing the production.
Yeah, puCK definitely is a big fan of kind of having his own custom-tailored builds a lot of the time. And I think the way that he described it to me once is he is more of a free-flowing player for a really long time. He didn't actually operate on build orders as much. He was just like, yeah, just kind of build stuff when I think I should be building them, and just kind of went with it. He has refined and has started using more build orders now, but it is certainly kind of cool to see puCK busting stuff like that out.
Yeah.
We'll see if Epic can come up with some sort of answer.
Yeah, you know, I think Epic was... It's not like he forgot what the map was and what the powerful moves in that maps were. Like, he had the Raven to, as I was saying, not just deal with the DTs. That was a bonus. It was to also help take out an Observer so that Blink Stalkers could never do that. And it just was one of those situations where the timing was so perfect, and I guess you could maybe argue he should have done a sweep around, but that's where the War Prism is there anyways, so you can't actually deny them from doing that. You just have to try and time it out better so that you first deal with it and then attack.
Yeah.
It's tough.
That's a fair point. Of course, guys, while we are waiting for puCK to just get ready, I want to give a shout out to the War Chest. In case you guys forgot, that War Chest is available in the game client as well as on the Battle.net website. You guys can pick up awesome skins like this wonderful Darkened Nexus, the Forged Nexus. Will make your probes look even cooler. What? What was that?
I wanted to touch the Nexus.
Oh, okay. But again, guys, 25% of the proceeds for those War Chests do go toward esports initiatives in 2019. It's a really, really awesome opportunity. And of course, I think all the new buildings got unlocked about a day or two ago.
Well, like yesterday. That's why Nate was all like,
oh, yeah, right.
Click the button for me.
Nate was very obsessed with clicking that button. To the point where he would, in the middle of the broadcast, be like, hey, by the way, Fear Dragon, can you please click that button right now?
Exactly.
My alarm just went off.
He tried to do that to me, and I was like, nah, son. I'm good. I'm not going to move here.
Okay. We're getting ready to run into game number 2, where one of the players has already picked a not
disqualified. Get out of here.
Immediately DQ'd. No. We're going to be starting up in the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Terran player from Psystorm Gaming. He is Epic.
In the bottom right, this little punk. Purple for punk. It is Root puCK.
The purple Protoss punk puCK.
Yes. You managed to do all the P's.
Perfectly.
Down. Yeah, there you go. If only Root Gaming had a P in it.
puCK Gaming means something else.
That definitely does. Could have gone with Roop.
Roop? What is Roop?
I don't know. Could have gone with rope gaming. That could have been a rope. Instead, you went with what you did.
Yeah. Well, want to see how this game goes. This is, in terms of that kind of Blink Stalker micro, this is still not a bad map for it. It's not as good as Automaton, but it's still pretty nice in terms of where you can blink up into that main base or poke around at the natural expansion. Even actually I saw or learned yesterday that there are some areas in the natural where you can actually still blink out from that low ground area right below the where the expansion would be, which I didn't actually think. I thought you were kind of trapped in there if you went that far in with Blink Stalkers.
Well, they took care of the tank problem that could have existed, but I guess they missed the Blink Stalker problem.
That's not a problem.
Isn't it, though?
It's a solution.
Isn't it, though? Well, the other point about this map that we have to bring up is that if it does go into 3 base versus Epic on 2 or maybe going to 3, point is, if puCK has his 3rd base here, and there's the complication of this area. We've seen some Protosses break down these rocks ASAP, and it has worked out for them. Sometimes they don't, and then suddenly they have to curve around and it can be a big problem. But Epic didn't go for a tank push in that first game. Maybe just was playing to the map or to the idea. Like you said, he's been planning this for this series for a while, so there's got to be some reason he did it there. But I'm looking at Kairos, I'm looking at the abusiveness. I think that would be the best way to do it. It just might not be in Epic's repertoire.
puCK, hiding another probe down here in the bottom center location this time. And around now is when he's going to throw down the pylon if he wants to go for that same sort of thing. And there it is, with the Twilight Council coming on up. This very well could just be the exact same thing as last time. Or, I mean, just because it's like a hidden pylon and stuff, I guess it never really got scouted out. So no harm in just doing it again.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like Epic's doing the same build too. So far, it's very identical. Yeah, and then he gets on the Tech Lab. Yeah, it seems to be he's going to go to a Raven again. So the Dark Templars are once again not going to be the main purpose, the main decider of this game. But the Archons did certainly help, and that's probably, again, what puCK is looking towards.
Yep. Adept's going to do some damage to that Hellion, pushing it back. Going to feel good about that. And also try and chase down that Reaper, which was sitting lower on hit points. He's going to try and ambush it at the top of the ramp of the natural. Looks like the Reaper gets there a little too fast. The Adept going to move forward and try and get some scouting information. No, actually just backs up. Already sees how many Marines there are. And that's good enough for him.
Yep, Hellion will help tear down any, lone units, chase after lone units as well, but it also is supposed to be used to help scout like it was in the first game. So if the Reaper can't make it up to the high ground, which it can't, puCK once again walls off, then the Hellion hopefully is going to be able to drive by, as it takes like one too many shots really for the Stalkers to tear it down.
Yeah, the Dark Shrine about to finish up though, and the Raven about to finish up for Epic. Also has a little bit less area to cover in that natural expansion, and the Reaper, ooh, does get picked off. The Hellion doesn't quite go straight to the main base, so neither one of them really get too far in. It is just going to be that Blink Stalker follow-up, so I'm not sure he would have seen anything super weird.
Nah.
But he's still got the Raven there. He should be well prepared. The only difference is, I would say, in the last game, the Raven was sitting in the main base. In this game, it's sitting in the natural, so if puCK is really quick, he can just immediately react and pull those DTs away and lose even one less DT.
Yeah, it's even a better game for him then, I guess. As Epic is really doing the same build, so we're going to be waiting for that combat shield timing for him to move out, and so will puCK, right? As you said, as you pointed out, not as an abusable map for the Stalker attack, but it is something you can still do. You can force the issue, especially if they're going to be out of position.
Zombie Grab, I want to get your opinion on something. I really am a bigger fan of Terran players getting their production a little bit further to the left than Epic did because of this.
This is one of those, like, yes, in a perfect world, Fear Dragon.
In a perfect world, you'd throw down your barracks just a little bit further to the left so you can't get stim sniped?
Well, the thing is, okay, all right, here, coming from the Terran perspective, is that, first of all, this looks nice. Okay. Looking nice.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize we were going for aesthetics over winning the game.
And looking nice is really important.
Okay.
Second of all, and more legitimately, the closer your buildings are, the more you're worried about being blocked out. Like if you're getting tanks, for instance.
That's true. These buildings, I will say, first of all, are very close. And second of all, I do get that the add-ons being swapped around. You do want all your buildings pretty close to each other still.
I mean, if you want to make an issue out of this Fear Dragon, why can't Terran just build it on the other side?
Because all of the Terran units are right-handed.
I don't...
Marauders always fire with their right hand first and then their left. Reapers always fire with their right hand first and then their left.
I can't think of a good argument against you right now.
Got him. The Archon drop getting some minor damage done, but the big thing is going to be that follow-up. We'll see what puCK is going to be doing here, because this is what the push-out was probably meant to look like over here for puCK. And this time, Epic spots out that Warp Prism. Raven takes a little bit of damage, but puCK is, of course, still going to be able to make something happen here with Blink Stalkers. Sniping off both of the Widow Mines is a really good start, and catching a Siege Tank.
Really nice. I thought maybe the Interference Magic would have gone on that Warp Prism, but I would have been able to escape anyways. The Stalkers are forced to retreat, but those Blinks, those snipes, were very worth it. Then the Archons do come back into the main base. They're not going to be able to snipe any upgrade.
Oh, that's a lot of Stalkers, too.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you do you. They're going to be able to snipe add-ons, and that's still very annoying.
Oh, absolutely. And be able to get a second Tech Lab, maybe? These Archons have a lot of hit points. The Warp Prism not getting focus fired down. And we end up even seeing some of those Marines getting picked off. The Tech Lab is now burning. And that whole push that Epic was planning completely now shut down.
He should still do it, though. The one thing that we kind of saw...
Lose the tanks?
Yeah. So what we saw last game was that, and puCK's doing the same thing, right, is that there wasn't an upgrade that quickly, so puCK had an upgrade lead, and that he was taking on the Stalkers and the Archons, actually. Yeah. He demolished them and took them on. It was when things were already kind of hectic and he was at a lower supply that he couldn't take on the Colossus. So I think that he can do something against this type of army, and I'm glad that he's pushing out. He still has the Raven, so that even a Colossus does help. It can be Interference Matrix.
Drop in the main base. We see those Archons, and there's more Zealots and Archons getting warped in, so complete shutdown of all the production. Third base going to have to be evacuated here by puCK. He's only got some sentries back at home. He's transferring one of the workers down to the bottom left, though. He is preparing for the base trade. There are 3 orbital commands here for Epic, and he's starting to run those SCVs actually back up to the main base. He's starting to clean up a lot of the Zealots in the main base, but there's more Stalkers. There's the Archons there. I actually don't know how much I like that.
Yeah, it might work out. Oh, here comes a DT, though, and the Raven's not going to be in place. But Epic already on top of the production of his opponents. He did not spend any time in that natural object on the third base. We are starting a base race, but maybe Epic was a little bit late to it. He should have already lifted these command centers. He should have been able to save 2 of them. Now he's only going to be able to barely save 1, not even.
Oh, no, that's horrible right now for Epic. He only has 12 minerals as well, not to mention 4 workers, 3 of which are right next to all of the other Protoss units. Where is even that 4th worker? Did he get out in a medevac? No.
At this point, it doesn't matter so much. He just has to lift buildings to survive. He could at least be hoping for a draw here because he's taken out all of his opponents. Well, he will take out his opponent's Nexus, although puCK can remake some, at least 1, now 2, and he's actually doing that already. This is a game that theoretically Epic could still win, by the way, like not just a draw, because he does have the stronger army with the upgrades and just the size and a Raven. That would win him the fight, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, as I said, he could also try and force a draw by running around and sniping these Nexus.
Yeah, puCK's big ideal will definitely be trying to be able to snipe off that Raven, because then the DTs just get to go ham. There is nothing that's going to be able to stop him. It's only 1 DT, though, so he needs to snipe it off and then also make sure he trades out at least decently and well enough that he's not just going to lose all of his buildings before everything is settled and done. Remember, there's also the fact that puCK needs to keep a Nexus
the Raven,
alive.
no, the Raven, no.
Oh, it's getting focus fired down, and it's gone.
I'm not sure Epic.
I think puCK actually still maybe wins this fight anyways.
Yeah.
Well, there is the Widow Mine that it does get cleaned up.
Yeah, he might have forgotten about the whole Dark Shrine thing because he killed so much production.
It's not over yet, because remember, puCK still needs to be able to clean up the floating buildings there. He needs to keep that Nexus alive.
That's true.
Are there any Marines left? There's 3
like
Marines.
3, yeah.
2 Marines.
Nah, I think, unfortunately...
Oh, shield batteries are helping out.
Wow, even if the Raven was alive, the Stalkers actually ended up winning. That's GG.
Well done, puCK, taking the next game there versus Epic. And that is a 2-0 sweep then. But really, I really love that kind of idea of the build where it's the Stalkers and then the Archons adding in a huge new dynamic there that Terran players maybe can struggle a little bit more to deal with.
I'm not like so in love with the Archons, to be honest.
Really?
I think it's a nice addition to that specific attack, but then I think you are... I think it does push off the other things a little bit too much, that if he faces like... I know he's never going to be able to face him, but like Innovation, let's say, right? That Innovation would you know, be a little annoyed by the stalkers, but then would slap them down, leave enough at home to deal with them, and then just push. And he'd be like, well, what do you have? One Disruptor, one Colossus? Like, I don't care about that.
That is a fair point, and I will definitely say that this build, and we saw that a little bit as it did get a little bit close, especially if puCK had tried to just come back home and defend or something. He really was relying on out-microing his opponent there. That is a build that is designed around saying, my micro is better than yours, and I can beat you in this game.
Yeah, the just thinking on it now too, like if he had, you know, we talk about the tank being sniped and you're like, oh, does it mean he can't push anymore? Man, if he had gone for 2 tanks and kept them at home with a bunker, like I feel like that's actually enough to deter a lot of
stalkers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough to deter the base race looking that convincing anyways. Like it might still go to a base race, but
yeah. That would have been a cool adjustment, but it's also hard to make those adjustments on the fly when you've just seen the build one time. You're not sure if it's going to happen again. Of course, Epic does get knocked down to the lower bracket match where he's going to face off versus M. Canning, a guy who said he was a little bit concerned about facing off versus Epic. But you know what? Despite Epic feeling a little bit sick and everything, I don't pin that off as him playing super poorly because he was sick or whatever. I would actually say, like, puCK just had a really smart build. It actually caught Epic really off guard, and he was able to sneak that victory in. But I want to know how this next Protoss versus Terran goes. It's going to be M. Canning versus Epic.